Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are focusing on the new saie Hydrabeam concealer. I picked mine up this week at Sephora. I went ahead and picked the shade 3. I did swatch shades 2, 3, and 4, and I took a picture of them, so I'll insert that picture here so you can kind of see and compare the shades. I felt like 2 would work, but it definitely would have been a little bit light. And after using this concealer, I've only used it one other time, so it still is very new to me, but I just wanted to come on here, do my makeup, share the new concealer with you. I think that 3 is closer to my skin tone for sure, but it's definitely not brightening for me. But I do think that 2 would have worked for me, so just between 2 and 3 if you are like a foundation twin. I'm going to start out with some primer. I'm going to use the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. Yesterday when I wore the new saie concealer, I didn't wear a primer, but I wore sunscreen underneath of it, and I still really liked how it looked and wore throughout the day. So hopefully the primer works well with it. Next, I'm going to apply some sunscreen. This has been one of my favorite go-to face sunscreens. This is the saie Sun Visor. It has an SPF of 35, and it definitely feels a bit like a really glowy moisturizer. I'm going to start by pressing it into the skin. For a lot of people, this might not be enough SPF for you. So yeah, just be your own judgment for that. I say if you're gonna wear SPF, that's great. This just makes my skin look so beautiful and glowy and just like fresh faced. And I've been really enjoying it. I like to wear this by itself a lot too, and maybe just do my brows, throw a lip on, and then that's it. But yeah, this has been my go-to. I just love how it looks on the skin. I love how it wears underneath makeup, and it's just been, yeah, it's just been a real fave. While my base is setting, I am going to run some product through my brows just so that the sunscreen and the primer can have like a minute to set. Also, I like to use this brow product before any other makeup. This is the Refi Brow Sculpt, and I'm really torn on this product. I want to really like it. I see it work really well for a lot of people, and sometimes I'll use it and just be like, oh my god, this is great. Like, this is a really great brow gel, brow sculpt. And then sometimes I use it and I'm just like, wow, this could not be worse. And I just don't understand how it works for people. But lately, it's been like one of the first things that I apply through my brows. I also let it kind of sit for a bit, and then after it dries, which is kind of strange, I'll go through and brush it out a little bit, and that has been ending up working out for me a little bit better. We'll see. It's super finicky for me, so I don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I really like the way that it makes my brows look. So we're just gonna leave it. So like I said earlier, I picked up the shade 3 and the new saie Hydrabeam concealer. When I used it for the first time, it really needed to be mixed up quite a bit. So yeah, just make sure you kind of twist the wand around in the bottle before you use it. And this is what number 3 looks like. It's really close to my skin tone, so it ends up working. It's just really not brightening at all. I grabbed my Kosas Revealer Concealer, which is the concealer I use nearly every day. I've been using mine in the shade 4.5, so it is a bit lighter than the shade 3 from saie. I think that the saie concealer definitely needs some improvement with the shade range. The fact that they sent Rainier shade 1 and 2, I thought was really wild. Like, the shades need to go way lighter than that. I do recognize though that the concealer is very sheer, but still something can be sheer and still come off looking like very orange. So I feel like a lot of people are gonna struggle to find their shade in this concealer. I also brought out the saie Slip Tint, and I use mine in the shade 4. I just brought it out to compare the shade as well. So that's the saie Hydrabeam Concealer in 3, and then that's the Slip Tint in 4. Their undertones are pretty different. The concealer has a lot more warmth and goldenness to it, and then the Slip Tint is definitely more neutral or even like cool leaning. I'm not sure I love the packaging in this concealer either. When I pull the wand out, there's a lot of give, and that always makes me nervous because that can be messy. Like, you can have like a little bit of concealer splash out if you're not super careful. I've heard that it's best to dot the concealer instead of swipe. So that's what I'm going to try and do here, just more dotting than swiping. The applicator also doesn't hold a ton of product, so you do have to go back in quite a bit into the tube. But since I'm not using any foundation today or any tinted moisturizer or anything, I am using the concealer kind of just all over my face. And it is very sheer, so it's really going to look like a light layer. It's not going to give me like a ton of coverage. I probably will want a bit more on my chin. Alright, so I'm going to use my sponge to blend it all out. You know, actually yesterday I had the concealer sit on my face for a minute, and that's when I did my eyes. And it did blend out beautifully even when it sat for a minute, which I do like to do with some concealers sometimes. It just kind of allows the concealer to dry a little bit, and I find that you get a little bit more coverage out of it when you do that. I'm going to let the concealer around my eyes sit for a minute, and I'm going to brush out my brows. Going in with my NYX Lift and Snatch brow pen, and I'm just applying a little bit where I might need. Yeah, the product is still flaky, that Refi brow gel. Maybe I waited too long. I don't know. I can never win with the Refi brow gel. I really can't. Okay, it looks fine. Now I'm going to start blending out the concealer. It's totally still movable and blendable. It hasn't like set at all, which would probably worry me that it was going to move around on the face. But honestly, when I wore it for like the few hours that I wore it yesterday, it pretty much stayed in place. It reminded me a lot of the slip tint in that way. Yeah, right under my eyes is definitely where I would want a little bit more brightness and where maybe the shade 2 would make sense. But for it being all over my face, the shade 3 definitely works for me. It's not too dark at all. I feel like even the undertone is really pretty and works well, but I'm definitely missing that brightness underneath of my eyes. I actually really enjoy the coverage from this concealer as well. It's not a medium coverage. I would definitely say it's more light to medium coverage, but I think that it really did a good job at evening out the skin tone, and then working with the base to just make everything look really glowy and fresh-faced and healthy. So I'm not upset with this base at all. I actually really enjoy it, and I could see myself reaching for this concealer very often throughout the summer. This is the Rare Beauty bronzer stick in the shade Happy Soul. And I just grabbed it because it was easiest. I really love this bronzer as well. It's one of my favorites. That really just blended into the skin so easily. I think like the concealer texture just creates a really nice creamy base for anything to kind of blend over top of it really nicely. Possibly not so much like powder products, but the Saie brand doesn't have powder blushes or anything like that, so that would make more sense. I have not tried the new Saie powder. It's really hard for me to justify getting new powders just because I have so many of them that I kind of alternate between. Powder to me is not like a super exciting product either. Not like other complexion products or like new cheek products or something. Oh, that bronzer just blended out so pretty on top of that base. I'm going a little bit out of order, but I'm going to put some eyeshadow on my eyes really quick. This is just the Danessa Myricks Color Fix in the shade Ballerina. Just put a little bit on the back of my hand, and I'm picking some up on this fluffy eyeshadow brush. This is one of my favorite single eyeshadows and one of my favorite color fixes from Danessa Myricks. It's just so nice. It's like this beautiful sheer pink color, but when you apply it to the eyelid, I mean, it speaks for itself. You just literally saw the magic happen. But yeah, when I apply it to the eyelid, it ends up picking up like a little bit of this like sheer deeper pink shade, and the shimmer in it is gorgeous. And because it's a liquid, it doesn't have like glitter fallout, which is something that can be annoying when dealing with powder shadows. And the Nanessa Myricks color fixes last a long time on the eyelids. I just love them. I feel like the concealer is kind of looking like glass skin, especially underneath the eyes and like on the cheek area, but it's really not settling into my fine lines. And I know that I just applied it, but sometimes with concealer, like immediately after you blend it out and just like look around, it's settled in. So yeah, the Saie concealer is really reminding me of the Saie slip tint in that way, because I find the Saie slip tint to also be kind of like glass skin like and very dewy looking on the skin, but it's pretty long wearing and it doesn't really settle too bad. I'm just going to curl my lashes really quick before applying mascara. I'm still using the ColourPop Level Up Lengthening Mascara pretty regularly. I used a pure mascara yesterday and it like smudged really bad underneath my eyes. I really don't have any problems with the ColourPop mascara, even down to like taking it off at the end of the night. It doesn't put up a fight, doesn't leave residue. I feel like I have mascara residue still from that pure mascara that I wore. Keep seeing a couple of spots on my brows that are just a little bit sparse, so I'm going to go back in and fix that. That's why I love my pen. I want to put a little bit more concealer on my chin area, like just over here. And I'm debating whether I want some more underneath my eyes, but I don't really think it's gonna help my eye area because it's not brightening, and I feel like I'm just missing some of that brightness. It layered really nice. I actually am going to apply a little bit of concealer like right here where my glasses are. I do get some darkness right in that area, and for that I'm actually going to blend that out with my concealer brush. See how that works. Before I do my blush, I am going to go in a little bit with some powder. This is just the Kosas Cloud Set. I'm sure that the new Saie powder would work really well with this concealer. I just don't have it. Not planning on picking it up unless someone in the comments can convince me. I'm just pressing it into my skin just on those high points where I was like super duper oily. Yesterday I did this blush combo and I loved it. I thought it was so gorgeous. So I used the Saie Dew Blush in the shade Spicy. It's one of their newer shades and I do like it. It just looks like that. It's really cute. I don't think that the Saie blushes are my favorite though. They are not really long wearing at all. They tend to be pretty sheer. I'm glad that they came out with some new shades though, so that's, you know, handy. They're not as sheer anymore. Like this is a deeper shade. But the Milk Makeup Bionic blush in the shade Beyond is definitely more of a long wearing blush, and I just had the idea to mix these two together yesterday, and I love the shade that I created, so I just have some on the back of my hand. Just gonna mix them together. So that's what that looks like. It's just a little bit brighter than Spicy, like a little bit more raspberry like. And I don't know, I kind of did feel like the combination helped make the blush last a little bit longer than if it was just the Saie blush on its own, because I do find that the Bionic cheek products from Milk, they do have much more of like a longer lasting power. I loved how the shade looked on the lips. I'm going to line my lips with a little bit of lip liner just to kind of get some shape going. It's the Milani Color Statement Lip Liner in the shade 04. Should I put a little gloss on? Maybe a little. This is just the Milani Fruit Fetish Raspberry Peach Lip Oil. I'm gonna go ahead, swirl a bigger powder brush into my powder and just kind of lightly press my skin all around. I wanted to pull you up closer so that you can see the skin. It's absolutely not flawless. You can still see some spotting, texture, all of that. But I think that that's the beauty of more light coverage makeup products. Like, you do have that option so that you're not full coverage all the time. So, you know, I think the Saie concealer is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But yeah, I just wanted to give you all a close-up of what my skin is looking like. I also wanted to show you my under eye. So I do have like a little bit of creasing. I think it's just going to be unavoidable, but I am going to kind of press it back into place. And then I'm going to take my Urban Decay All Nighter. I'm going to take the Ultra Matte because this is just very dewy. So this is what I'm looking like at 1:45 in the afternoon. I'll come back in a few hours to show you all what the makeup is looking like then. But yeah, everything looks really nice, glowy, natural, and beautiful. I think this is like a real good everyday makeup look for me, and I feel really confident in this. This is going to be my one and only check-in, only because I know after dinner I am not going to want to do anything. So it's about 6:30 right now. I think it looks really great. You know, I've been eating, I've been spending actually a lot of time outside, and it's roasting out there. It's so hot. But with, you know, Molly, my new puppy, I'm trying to get her trained and, you know, doing a lot of training outside and stuff. And yeah, makeup still looks really good in my opinion. I think it's very dewy, very glowy, borderline oily, but I mean, that kind of is expected with the kinds of products that I put on. I think it's really great to see that my blush is still looking really nice. I turned down the brightness a little bit so that hopefully you can see a little bit better, but yeah, the blush is still looking really nice. I know that this isn't about anything else, but like, you know, brows are looking good, eyeshadows looking good, considering I didn't put any primer on them, and I don't have any mascara smudging, which is great. I think that has to do with the mascara, obviously, but I think it also has to do with your under eyes, you know, the products that you're wearing underneath. I think that sometimes if the concealer doesn't like work well with the mascara or whatever, it can smudge way more easily. So I think that's really great to see. I really like around my nose, I'm really not seeing creasing. What about smile lines either? This is why it's reminding me so much of the Slip Tint. I feel like that product goes on super dewy, super glowy, and you kind of expect it to like not last and be like a big greasy, creasy mess, but it actually performs really amazing. I feel like the concealer is doing the same thing. And then obviously the big giveaway is the under eyes, and yes, there is creasing under there, like it's obviously there, but I think like from far away it still looks really good. Like you wouldn't really think I had like big creasy cakey under eyes. And let me just press everything back in. It didn't even lift the product, it just went right back into place, which I love to see. With me personally, when I'm wearing makeup, I will kind of touch my face and blend things back together to make it look nicer and whatever throughout the day. I haven't touched my face today just because I knew I was doing a wear test, but on a regular day, I do make sure that my makeup is looking good throughout the day by kind of like smudging things, blending things back into place. And I know that with this concealer, I can do that with ease, and it will go on to still looking really nice. I think that the concealer is a really good product if it's something that you're looking for. I do think Saie needs to work on the shade range. Obviously, the Slip Tint started out with a smaller range, and then they recently got more shades in. So hopefully we see that same energy with the concealer. I think it's very likely. Let me know if you were able to find a shade in their range and what ended up working for you. And let me know if this concealer is even something that you are interested in. I think that, you know, it's going to be very polarizing. I think that for a lot of people, it might be exactly what they're looking for. You know, the concealers on the market might be way too full coverage for a lot of people. But for a lot of people, you really like full coverage concealers, and this one just wouldn't end up working for you. I think at the end of the day, it just depends on what exactly you're looking for. And if you're looking for a light to medium, more light coverage concealer that's dewy, going to be long wearing on the skin, I would say it's like very flexible almost. I think that you would really enjoy this one, and it just would come down to whether you're able to find a shade, because unfortunately I don't think that the shade range is really that great from saie. But I really hope that you enjoyed today's video and you found it helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the products that I wore in today's video. Also, let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see from me next. It's been a really long time since I've done like a sit down video like this, and it felt really good to be back. The past few weeks have been nuts. I'm really happy for June and to just get back on track with things. So that is going to be it for me today though. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you aren't already subscribed, definitely go ahead and do so, and hopefully I will see you next time.